Hello, my name is Emma Van Rooij, and I'm the Executive Director of Greenpeace, an international organization dedicated to heightening environmental awareness and preserving our environment and its species. Today, I wanted to speak to you all about the need of Congress to mandate a long-term ban on drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Arctic drilling inevitably negatively impacts climate change, leads to oil spills, harms marine life, and destroys the already fragile ice habitat that so many species rely on. The industrial process of oil drilling releases many pollutants into the environment. These pollutants are passed into the ecosystems and have led to weakened immune response and reproductive and growth complications in many Arctic species. According to the latest data from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, greenhouse gas emissions from oil and gas drilling in the U.S. have increased by 34% since 2016. In 2020, oil and gas systems represented over 12% of emissions reported to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. It is estimated that extracting and burning oil in the U.S. portion of the Arctic alone would release almost 16 billion tons of CO2 into the atmosphere, equivalent to all the CO2 released from every car in the U.S. for 9 full years. Arctic drilling reinforces the reliance on dirty fossil fuels as an energy source. Alternatives to Arctic drilling are a renewed focus on clean energy sources such as solar, wind, or nuclear. There have also been a long history of oil spills across the globe, killing off species by the thousands and permanently ruining the neighboring environments. The U.S. Department of Interior says that there is a 75% chance of a major spill if any company drills in the Alaskan Arctic Ocean. Once a spill happens, historically, the oil companies have never been able to successfully clean it up. Typically, only about 8% of the oil spilled is cleaned or recovered. It is likely that in the event of a spill in the Arctic, they would not be cleaned at all due to the extreme weather and sea conditions there. When a species encounters a spill, they can be poisoned, causing long-term toxicity damage or death, and their fur and feathers lose insulation qualities because of the thick oil coating, resulting in hypothermia and eventual death. Thousands of fish and eggs are killed in the spill as well, reducing and contaminating the food source of many reliant predators. One oil spill can kill thousands of marine animals and harm their population health for decades. The only way to prevent an oil spill is to leave that oil in the ground. Oil drilling is an enormous operation with hundreds of square miles of roads, pipelines, and treatment plants. This noise and habitat disruption drives species away from their native land, further shrinking their already constrained habitat. The Arctic Refuge is home to over 300 species, many already endangered and all further threatened by Congress's proposal of oil drilling in the area. The loud blasts caused by seismic air guns used in locating oil can be as loud and destructive as dynamite and are repeated every 10 seconds beneath the waves, 24 hours a day, for weeks at a time. Sea life isn't just disturbed by the deafening noise, they can be severely injured by the explosions and habitat damage that they cause. These sonic seismic surveys can cause temporary or permanent hearing loss in some marine species, which is essentially a death sentence for the social marine animals that live nearby, such as whales and dolphins who use sonar to communicate and find food. The Arctic is already shrinking, losing on average 13% of its ice each decade since measurement began in 1980. We can see the difference of our ice size on our satellite cameras, with the image on the left showing ice coverage in 1984, and just 30 years later in 2016 we can see large portions of the ice caps missing. By 2050, it is expected we will have an ice-free summer. As ice melts, more drilling ships are sent to the north, directly polluting the environment through the industrial process of obtaining the oil and indirectly by providing the world with more oil to burn, all further warming the climate and creating a negative feedback loop for the ice coverage of the Arctic. The animals inhabiting the Arctic rely on the ice coverage for a variety of reasons. Seals and walruses rely on the sea ice to rest and give birth. Polar bears rely on large quantities of coverage to hunt and travel from one region to the other. Less ice means less food source for their bears, harming their reproduction and population health. The lack of ice has led to an increase of polar bears getting stranded and drowning in the last several decades. The threat of an iceless summer is a direct threat to the survival of species in the Arctic. We must stop drilling in the Arctic due to the detrimental effect on local wildlife, high chances of oil spills, and overall devastating effect on the environment. I urge you as Congress members to propose a ban on all drilling in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. Thank you for your time.